Hey friends, it's Lex at LexReads, and today we're going to be talking about books that I did not finish in 2019. So, I know I've said it on this channel before, but I'm a pretty intense mood reader. So sometimes when I'm reading books, I DNF them because I am absolutely forcing myself to get through them because I'm not currently interested in the type of book. So I give almost every book that I DNF a second shot, like a take two, where I sit down when I'm more in the mood for that type of story. So when I talk you through the books, I'm going to tell you what book it is, tell you what it's about, and then tell you whether or not I'm going to give it a second chance. So let's just get into it. So this book is basically about Jamie Watson and Charlotte Holmes, who are descendants from Sherlock and Watson. Jamie gets a scholarship to attend this Connecticut prep school where Charlotte goes. They seem like they're going to be rivals. A student dies. They team up to solve the murder. Yes, I'm going to try and give it another go before I get rid of it. We'll see how it goes. This is basically about Britta learning how to harness her powers, and she has this weird connection to King Arden because she saved him, but she's in love with, what the heck is his name? Cohen. It just was more romancy and not as fun as the first one, and the first one I was like, that was pretty good. I'll pick up the second one, and then I did not like this. And at this point, I don't really remember what happened in the first one, so I feel like I would have to read that again to read this. So, to be determined on whether or not I give that a second try. I'm going to keep it on my shelf, so we'll see. This book is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. I picked this up because Reagan at Peruse Project was just raving about this like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I DNF'd this once in 2018, and then not once, but twice in 2019, so I've DNF'd this book 3 times, which means that it's gotta go in my unhaul pile. I will not read this book. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. The start is really slow. I think I never got more than 130 pages into this book. I wanted it to be more magical than it was. I hadn't even gotten to anything magical yet. I wanted the magic. I think part of the problem is that I don't tend to be in love with historical fiction, even if it's historical fantasy. I still am not, that's not really my favorite thing in the world. I'm not in love with historical fantasy, historical fiction. So I think that was maybe my primary issue with this book. It started slow. I was kind of bored. We're following Vasya, right? Yeah, Vasya. Her stepmother's mean. She has magic. I hated it. And I feel so bad because I wanted to like it. I wanted to like it so bad that I didn't just give it a second shot, I gave it a third shot. But I think at this point it's safe to say that I just don't like that book. Another book I DNF'd last year was Furyborn by Claire Legrand. This book is a dual timeline book about a prophesized pair of 2 queens who can perform all 7 types of elemental magic, Riel and Eliana. Riel saves her best friend, which shows that she can do all 7 kinds of magic, and then 1,000 years later, that's kind of just a fairy tale, and Eliana is a bounty hunter, and she can also do all the magic. They fight in a cosmic war that spans millennia, their stories intersect, and the shocking connections between them will ultimately determine the fate of their world and of each other. It has deckled edges, which is the worst thing about this book. It's also just very large, which isn't a bad thing, it just is. The cover is beautiful. I DNF'd this because I wanted to read contemporary murder mystery, and this is like fantasy. So I will be giving this a second shot. I DNF'd it about this time last year, but I will be reading this, and it wasn't like, I didn't have an issue with the characters or the style or anything. That actually was pretty interesting. I didn't get very far into this. I only read about like 25, 30 pages, and then I was like, why am I doing this? This isn't what I want to be reading. And that was when I picked up We Were Liars, which was my favorite book of 2019. So this one was just like bad timing. So I will be giving it another shot. We're gonna try again. Another book I DNF'd last year, Murder Trending. I bought this in November, I started it in November, and I DNF'd it in November. I only got about 100 pages in. That seems to be a trend, and I just was kind of bored. I already have given this a second chance, and I read the whole thing. I got through it. I think I gave it 2 stars, which is pretty darn low. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I'll talk about it in my January wrap-up because I just read it. Essentially, this is in the near future where the postman has created this like reality television game show type thing where convicted murderers, some of them get sent to this place called Alcatraz 2.0, and it's like this whole thing where it's reality television where they're like killing all of these convicted murderers. I just didn't love it, and I was bummed because this was like the book that I bought in this, like when I went and bought books this time, that I was the most excited about, and then I didn't like it. And the last book that I DNF'd last year, I lent to a friend, so I don't have the hard copy with me. It's Renegades by Marissa Meyer, which was another one of those books that I got and was so excited to read. I love superheroes, I love superpowers, I love supervillains. So it kind of is just the setup to be like one of my faves. I think like in my brain it was a 5-star prediction. I got about 150 pages in, and I also was reading that at about the time that I was reading Furyborn, so I like started Furyborn, stopped it to read We Were Liars, started Renegades, stopped it to read One of Us is Lying. So I will be giving that another shot once I get it back. I just wasn't in the headspace to be reading that type of book, and I don't think I could have finished it if I had like kept forcing through. I think I would have resented it more than I do. So yeah. Alright friends, so those are the 6 books that I DNF'd in 2019. Leave a comment down below if you like really feel strongly about me reading one of those like soon. One of the ones that I'm giving a second shot to, so that's Renegades, Furyborn, A Study in Charlotte, and Ever the Hunted. If you have strong feelings about any of those books, let me know. Please don't beg me to read Bear and the Nightingale. I'm getting rid of it. I don't want to read it. I don't want to. I can't do it. Of course, I by no means am bashing the authors of any of these books, or just the books themselves. Like I said, most of them I DNF'd because it was like just not the time for me to be reading them. The only one that I really didn't like was Bear and the Nightingale, and that all comes down to like some really nitpicky personal preference stuff. So that's nothing against Catherine Arden or any of you who may love the book, or Reagan, whom I bought the book because of. Not the book for me, and there's nothing wrong with that. Alright, so thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys very soon. Goodbye, friends! Mwah!